Hello, welcome back. So today I'm going to talk about a really cool woman in tarot history who is still alive, and that is Barbara Walker, and specifically the Barbara Walker Tarot. So, a little information about Barbara Walker, who is 89. She was born in 1930. If I'm looking down, it's because I have my little book report, essentially, that I have jotted down all of my information on her because I didn't want to forget any of it, because she is a fascinating, really cool woman. So, she's from Philadelphia. As far as I can tell, she still lives there. She went to the University of Pennsylvania, and she worked in Washington, D.C. at the Washington Star. And what's cool about her is she did lots of things that you wouldn't expect a woman born in 1930 to do and promote and be a part of. And she really ripped through lots of stereotypes when it comes to women in history, etc. Like I said, she worked at the Washington Star newspaper. She studied journalism. In around the mid-70s, she started volunteering at a hotline for battered women and teens who were pregnant. So just right off the bat, that is a pretty badass thing to do. Those are the kinds of things, the kinds of situations that people like to push under the rug and they don't like to talk about at all. And here she was, fully embracing these women and helping them through this really hard time. And I just think that is really cool. So working with these women got her interested in feminism, and I'm not really sure exactly how. There wasn't a lot of bridge information about how religious studies melded in with all of this, but she also was interested in that. So she did lots of personal studies on feminist issues and on just different comparisons of different religions and that kind of thing. She describes herself as atheist, which, again, for a person in 1930 to say that, born in 1930, I just feel like people born in that time, generally, you would imagine they would be a little more conservative. And so, to have her dealing with these women and these women's issues and these feminist issues is amazing. So then, I think it's also pretty cool that whenever she was working with these women, she was in her 40s. And she didn't even she didn't have any published books or anything like that until she was in her 50s. Which is pretty amazing. Publishing is a hard industry. And especially, in general, the working Americans, I'm saying Americans, but it's like this everywhere, I'm sure. The workplace is not necessarily the easiest or the best for women. And that's shitty. And I think it's really awesome that she recognized that and then just surpassed it all. She just started being published in basically her 40s, essentially. Um, Funny enough, almost half of her published works are books on knitting. Lots of knitting patterns, lots of knitting, everything knitting. Um, and then, right about the time that she turned 50, she publishes the Women's Encyclopedia of Myths and Secrets. That is probably the book that she's most known about. And then she didn't publish her tarot deck until she was 56. So that's pretty amazing. I mean, so here you have this woman who is like just like the original cat lady. Like, she is an amazing, cool woman who is going to be 90 this year. And, like, I don't know. There's just something about that I think is just so cool. Like, it would be so amazing to just have a conversation with her. I don't know what her state of mind is now. I don't know what her health is like. I don't know anything really about. It's not like, you know, when you turn 89, it's not like you're exactly all over social media or anything like that. But I mean, what a cool lady to have a cup of coffee with. She would be so cool, I imagine. Yeah, so that's some fun information about Barbara Walker, and I will show you the box. Oh, other way. Which is super cool. Oh, again. Oh, wait, did I have it right? Oh, I did have it right. Anyway, super cool. This is the 5th edition. Yeah, so I'll flip the camera and do a little walkthrough. I'm sure lots of you have seen it. You can still get it, but not in this variation. You can only get it in a 10 now. US Games has it. I think this is a US Games deck also. Yeah, it is. They have it in a 10. You can get it in a 10. It's honestly not much bigger than in a 10. Yeah, so I'll flip the camera and do a full walkthrough. Okay, so here is the Barbara Walker Tarot. There's the side, there's the back, the other side, the bottom, and the top. It is from 1986, though I think that mine is probably not a 1986 because it's the 5th printing. So, yeah. So it has just like a basic little white book. And then it comes with 2 additional little cards, one like basic one, and then a little card with information about Barbara Walker. And then these are the backs, which are really cool. Here is a standard US Games tarot, so you can see about the size of it. It's small. Like I said, it's not quite as small as the 10th edition that you can still get, but it is a little on the small side. But it's cool. It's a very handy little size to like take around with you, or really easy to shuffle. Alright, so let's take a little look. Zoom in a little. Okay, so we have the Fool. Perfect. Okay, so we have the Fool. And then the Magician. And as you can see, it's almost sort of like the Lo Scarabeo style, where it's got it in 5 languages. Also, I can already hear the people who can't stand borders. This is not going to be your favorite, because the borders are large, even by my standard, and I love borders. It really is just the top and the bottom that throws me off. I really wish that they had shrunk them, made them smaller. So there is our Papes. It is very RWS, but it also has some like extra little like symbolism and things like that. So the Empress, the Emperor, the Pope, or we would call it the Hierophant if you were in a different deck. The Lovers, which is fun. It's almost like a Marseille style Lovers, like how you have the sort of like a choice to be made. The Chariot, which is really fun. This is cool because not only did she create the book, but she also is the illustrator. She painted them all, so that's pretty cool too. Justice. It's kind of interesting. It's like all white with that little black on black little square in the back. The Hermit almost looks like a little medical staff. Oh, and a fancy little sandal. Look at that little sandal. The Wheel of Fortune is fun. Strength. I don't know if that was intentional, but I kind of like that fun little like witch hat that she's wearing. The colors in this are cool. The Hanged Man, the little grapes. And interesting that there's that little path. It almost looks like, if you look at this whole little scene looks like the moon card to me. Like that same little, it looks like the same little section. And then here is another very Marseille style. Death. Temperance. The colors are really cool. I think this is like sort of Baphomet-y, but like it's missing the female breasts. Or I guess maybe they're, no. Anyway. The Tower. I think this would be a really cool, this would be cool if they could blow them up. Or just like crop it a little better. Crop the actual card so that this was just larger, the painting part. Not necessarily get rid of the borders because I love them, but just like make the card bigger. The Moon. The Sun. This is an interesting sun. No little baby. Judgment. This is sort of menacing looking. It's like very much judgy. And it's interesting because the angel looks like a man to me, and typically I think it's looks a little more female. The World. And then we go into Wands. So the thing about the minors is they do have keywords at the top. So this may not be the deck for you because lots of people like borderless and lots of people do not like keywords, but I think it's fun. Three of Wands. This sort of gives me like triple goddess vibes. Like I can't think of what they call the youngest one of the triple goddesses, but, you know, maybe like maiden, mother, and crone. Four of Wands. It says success, but this almost gives me like he's begging for something. Five of Wands. Six of Wands. Seven of Wands, which is fun. It's kind of like a balancing act. 8. 9. 10. And it just looks like he is fully over it. Like, this totally embodies oppression, if that's the keyword that you choose to associate, because it clearly looks like this person just like dropped this other man into a hole somewhere. So the courts are cool because they ditch the keywords and instead they all have a god or goddess that they represent. So princess, prince, queen, and king. Now we're into the Pentacles. It gives you a very culty vibe. The whole deck kind of gives me that. It's got lots of like symbolism, lots of like, looks like people would associate with like devil worship type things, like if you just didn't know anything about the symbols, you know. 4, 5, very RWS. 6, 7, 8, 9. And this is interesting because the keyword is accomplishment, but to me, accomplishment would be once the baby has arrived. Like, this seems like it's still in process. Still cool, still a beautiful image, but, you know, protection. And then we get into the courts. So the princess, the prince, and this reminds me of people who have sleep paralysis. Lots of them describe seeing things that look like this, like when they're in the state of paralysis, when they can't move. When they describe the monster or whatever is like scaring them, that is oftentimes what it looks like, which is interesting. Queen of Pentacles, King of Pentacles. Alright, and then swords. Ace of Swords. I think that keyword would throw me off because it's doom, and like aces to me wouldn't normally represent something like that. Balance. Five of Swords kind of gives me a little sacrifice vibe. 6 of Swords. 7. Again, lots of symbols that people wouldn't be very much interested in seeing necessarily even together, like a little swastika. This looks like a Star of David to me. Oh, excuse me. 8 of Swords. Nine of Swords, again, sort of gives me a little sacrifice vibe, but I do like that little tree's face is fun. 10 of Swords, Princess, Prince, Queen, King, and now the Cups. Ace, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, Princess, Prince, Queen, and King. Alright, so that is the Barbara Walker Tarot. You can absolutely still get it in a tin. It's by US Games. But alternatively, this edition is really cool and readily available on eBay, and I've seen it on Etsy sometimes. And you can get it typically for, you know, it seems like they sell for anywhere between $35 and $75. I know that's a huge gap in the price, but that's about the range that I've seen them go for. And, you know, if you're patient, you can get it for a reasonable amount of money. That is how I get all of my decks, is I'm patient about it, and I don't tend to like jump on a deck just because I see it and I like it. So yeah, thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this.